Hi, this is Bill with DarthVetter.com, and today's episode I wanted to bring you some of my favorite methods of cartridge cleaning and care, and just talk about why it's important to keep our cartridges clean. It goes without saying, first off, that keeping your cartridges clean adds to the longevity of the games itself in your collection, and on top of that, just helps things work better. Better connection, less fighting with the game to get it to work when you want it to play. Just talking about some of the methods to clean cartridges, I want to go with the first. Most console makers, or a third party for those console makers, released cleaning kits. In particular, here is an example of a Super Nintendo cleaning kit. This is an actual Nintendo brand cleaning kit. And what it is it's a cartridge, and the cartridge opens up, and inside of the cartridge are various tools. You have a rod that you can slip these little heads over, a blue head for an abrasive side, and a nice cotton head for soaking up any solution that would be left on the cartridge after cleaning. And this long piece of it's a foam type material. It's like a mixture between foam and cardboard, if I were to have to describe it. I can't exactly tell you what it is, but it slips into the slot on the cartridge, and it can be closed up, moistened, inserted, and removed from the control deck to keep your edge connectors on the control deck nice and shiny. It's a great method of doing it. The kits are a little harder to find. You can find some aftermarket third-party clones on eBay and various resellers online. Look at the comments down below, or if you know a good place to find them, post a comment below and help your brothers out in the gaming community. I'm sure a lot of you have been exposed to the next thing that I'm about to show, which is the double-tipped cotton swab, or the Q-tip as referred to. The Q-tip is a very, very effective method for cleaning cartridges, and it's cheap and plentiful. 250 swabs for $1.50 at Walmart. I like that. The method of doing it would be to, of course, put some solution on one end of the Q-tip, and then simply quick brush across the cartridge edge, and then flip over to the other side after the cartridge is nice and clean, and then dry up any solution that would be left over. Very effective, very cheap, good to use. Another thing would be business cards. If you're in a pinch and you're over a buddy's house, you can always fold a business card up into several folds and then just put it in between the cartridge and use it as a dry abrasive cleaner. I don't recommend doing this all the time because it can eventually add a lot of wear and tear on your cartridges over a long period of time. But moving on, we have the method of cleaning preferred as a Q-tip or cotton swab. Some of the solutions that I like to use. The first one is hydrogen peroxide. It is a very cheap and moderately effective method of cleaning cartridges. This bottle right here cost about 50 cents from Walmart, and it'll probably last me until next year, if not longer. Very little amount is needed to actually clean the cartridge. Hydrogen peroxide is cheap, good, and very safe to use. Won't strip off anything from your cartridges. Plus, I think you can use it as a mouthwash. I've tried. It's not very good. The next thing I like is for tough or dirty games, particularly if you have any Coke or any type of something spilled that can cause bacteria, is the Clorox wipe. Yes, it is safe to use these on your edge connectors in the game. I also use these as a replacement for the cleaning wand on my official Nintendo cleaning kits. As an example, I will show you a cloth. You have a soft side, and then you have a harsh abrasive side. Simply cut in half, wrap around the wands, put a little piece of tape on one side of it, and you're good to go. I will tell you a word of warning, though. Being that it is Clorox, it does have a residue that can be left on the cartridge, and over time that can eat away at the edge connectors itself. So if you do decide to use this, I would recommend a follow-up with something along the lines of isopropyl or denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol is a very good cleaner because it doesn't leave a residue, or it leaves very little residue behind. The third is a highly effective method of cleaning cartridges, and I would, before showing it to you, advise you to do this in an open space with lots of ventilation, because it can be a little rough. This is brass or copper polish. There are several incarnations of this. In particular, in the gaming community, the Brasso brand is very popular and has been relied upon time after time, and is time tested and true. This Goodard's, I just started using this stuff. It seems to work just as good as the Brasso, and it's cheaper too. And it comes from Britain, and they have a lot of copper and brass, I guess, over there that they shine. In particular, it can be used with the Q-tip or the cleaning wand method. I would recommend against using it with the cleaning wand method, because you tend to go through heads on that quite a bit with the brass or the brass polisher. I just wanted to show you a couple games in particular that are rough or hard to clean. In particular, I and a bunch of gamers have noticed that Konami games are notoriously bad for needing to be cleaned. I don't know if it's a quality control issue, but in particular, one of the worst offenders is the Bayou Billy cartridge. The Bayou Billy cartridge is insanely hard to get working. I have seen these things all over the place. People have multiple ones, and they just, in a top loader, and a front loader, and a clone, just reluctant to work. It's like if you don't keep the cartridge pins completely polished on this, to where you can see your nose hairs and the reflection of yourself in it, that it just doesn't want to work. So we're going to test out a couple methods on this Bayou Billy cartridge I have that I haven't done any cleaning on. Inside the cartridge there's a good little chunk of, I don't even know what the hell that is, to be honest. Some other offenders is Simon's Quest. This particular cartridge, you can see, has been left out in the weather, left out in the rain, the label's worn off. That's kind of an indication we know this thing might have gotten rained on or wet. There's some blue stuff in there, which I bet you if you lick it, you'd probably get pretty high, so I wouldn't recommend you doing that either. So we're going to try and clean this guy out as well. And then last but not least, for the NES side, is a game that you either really hate or you really love. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And you might say, that's not a Konami game, that's an Ultra game. Yes, it is an Ultra game. That's another topic for another day. Ultra is Konami. Konami is Ultra. It's a cheap little way they used to get around Nintendo's seal of quality that you have to get on your cartridge in order to be able to produce for them. And it has to do with the amount of games that one company can produce in a year. Last but not least is something I picked up at the flea market. This thing is super rough. It's probably been flushed down a toilet.